This is The Countdown, discussing tomorrow's news today as our top guests tackle the issues that matter with a sharp take on every story. And now, here are your hosts, Andrew Weeks and Onyx Duncan.
A very good morning to you and welcome to another edition of The Countdown. Today is the 16th of March 2025 and we want to welcome you to another edition. There's so many things happening across the country and it is happening rapidly. We are now hearing about the government's lackluster with the Venezuela situation. They have not reported to the nation in terms of what came out of the intrusion by the Venezuela's vessel. They have not given us any information pertaining to what transpired with the helicopter crash. They have not given us nothing. We saw today in the Starbuck News that the president said that he will not attend the special meeting that Venezuela called with the CARICOM leaders, with CARICOM. It says in the paper that the president says he will not be meeting with Maduro in this special Argyle meeting. That been happening. We are seeing also that the social media activist Melly Mel arrests adds to a catalog of unsavory consequences of the Trump's policy. That is what's in the Starbuck News this morning. And plus, we have our guests in the background, the mayor, the former mayor of Georgetown, Pandit Ubraj Narine, who is our special guest this morning. He will give us an update on some of these issues and more as to what his thoughts are on those issues. Onyx is in the background. You know, recently Onyx, last Monday, he was also in a robbery, a cutlass bandit robbery, on Monday last, where they took away his motorcycle and so on. And that matter is still under investigation by the police. Haven't heard anything else yet. Haven't caught the bandit, but they can find bandits quickly that robbed the Success Chinese store quickly. They can't find the bandits that robbed as an AFC youth executive member, Onyx Duncan. So, Pandit Ubraj Narine, good morning. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show for the first time. And I know that you is a man on the ground. You have been following the trends. You have been looking at what's happening on the ground. A very good morning to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Weeks. Thank you to have me on your program this morning. Good morning, viewers, and all my Guyana brothers and sisters here at home and abroad. Good morning. Blessings.
Thank you so
God
much.
blessings.
Thank you so much, Mr. Narine. Let's get right into this discussion. We're we're a bit late, but we want to start with giving us your update, Mr. Mayor, on the state of the city of Georgetown. And do you feel that, and are you satisfied that the current mayor is doing the work that he promised to do during his run-up for the elections, local government elections? Are you satisfied with that? But first, give us your update on the state of the city of Georgetown.
Thank you very much, Weeks, for that introduction and your question as well. I want to say this much, that I have demitted office about closely to 2 years now, coming to 2 years. I haven't seen any policy be tabled at the council, and the state of Georgetown remained an unethical environment to deal with garbage. I had my tenure with garbage, but I believe engaging the private sector commission and other businesses, I was able to get a lot of those dump site cleared. However, at the current state at City Hall, I do follow City Hall, but I have not heard anything positively coming out of City Hall at this point of time. City Hall, I believe, um, the councillors are there. I believe they have to be more active in their constituents and also at the level of the council. I received complaint only yesterday from constabulary calling me, constable, sorry, calling me and asked me my view to deal with matters. I said to them, I'm no longer the mayor. You have a mayor, you have councillors, seek their advice. The officer responded in a negative. So I don't know exactly what is happening in City Hall, but I can tell you this much. As an ex-mayor, I don't intervene to the with the current leadership of City Hall, but I do help a lot of people still out of office dealing with City Hall issues. And I am grateful that I can still continue to help citizens of Georgetown in whatever way at the level of City Hall. City Hall, I left a few policy. I haven't seen any tabled on at the council meeting. So City Hall need to get their act together. Mayor and the councillors need to get their act together. Be more proactive in the community. The vendors are calling me every day. They have issues. They relocate the vendors. I don't know where. They does not know where to go to sell. As mayor and councillors, there's a mandate that they must take care of vendors. Vendors out there, the bread and butter they're trying for. They got children, they got bills to pay, and I will always support the vendors. I only recently, my case was dismissed um, recently.
Yes,
And
yes.
if you happen to notice, when I stood up at the public hospital in 12th of December 2022 for those vendors, I have no fear of saying these things. I have no apology. I will stand by the people and with the people of this country. So City Hall need to get their act together. That is all I will say and make comment on City Hall at this point of time.
City Hall needs to get their act together. I see that the city engineer and team was going around and they're looking at certain things within the city. Um, talking about vendors observing and obeying the bylaws. Um, do you think, Mr. Mayor, that Georgetown is being overpopulated with vendors, and that there should be somewhere where vendors are properly housed and properly taken care of and properly situated? I know they got a market, the update on the market rehabilitation project. The president went in there when it collapsed and make a big hullabaloo about repairing that market. Have you seen any update on that recently? Have
I
you seen anything about that?
No, I haven't seen any update on that weeks. And however, let me say this very clear. There is a massive plan to redevelop Starbrook Market from Water Street, from the Vendors Mall straight down to the ministry. That project was launched in 2019. It is there. The private sector and the CDB, IDB all supported that project. And yes, I will agree there is vendors um, all over the city, but we just can't remove them. The state of our economy causes those things, and people fail to understand. Vendors don't be out there because they want to be out there. Vendors, if you sit and listen to their story, it will move you. Vendors, they're human beings. They have family, they have kids, they have bills to pay. We as politicians and leaders has to listen to these individuals and make or provide an environment to house them properly. I will say this much. The vendors mall is there, a proposal is done. The border green, a proposal is there. All of these areas within the city, owned by the city, but just needed government intervention a little. We can do wonders for our people in the city. The vice president and the president and the ministers of this government speak every day on development, but the city look in a terrible condition. no proper bylaws. Like you make mention, the city engineer. I believe he can't do an estimate to save himself. I have no fear of saying that. I make mention this while I was in the mayor seat, and I say out of office as well, that the city engineer, there's a no confidence motion on him since in my tenure, and that is not acted on with the local government commission. The city engineer is a cause of the state of the city, not the mayor, not the councillors. The bylaws, we, in my tenure, including the current mayor who was my deputy, we engage a gentleman called named it Charles Series, who is an expert and professional individual to work with us to draft a new building code and building bylaws. That was done. The Engineer Association, they had it, they approve it. It went to the council. Council approve it. It is with the city engineer to give his view now. To date, the city engineer has not give his view, and that happens since in my tenure. So the city engineer is a cause for see. Look, I recently passed at a hotel that recently put up. I was a part playing when that hotel put up in Rob Street, the Aden Hotel, or I can't remember the name properly. That hotel pavement, if you see how it built so high, I'm not attacking the business, but do you think if a normal man or a normal citizen do the pavement like that, it will be acceptable by the city engineer? No, he will go and break it down. He will use his sledgehammer. But these are the things where professionalism is not there. When you're a public officer, you keep that public ethic. You act according to the laws. But at City Hall, I've been there. I know of it. The officers they're wayward, they're disrespectful, and they have no respect for the citizens of Georgetown. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. So the city engineer department, look at that building. We passed a motion in my tenure to refurbish Dorothy Bailey Health Center, the city constabulary, the city engineer building. Before I left, Dorothy Bailey Health Center was completed. City constabulary was completed. The solid waste building was completed. Except the city engineer department, which still remain in the same condition after 2 years now since I demitted office, and a motion was passed to start construction and renovation on that building. They're going to wait till it fall down and then start again. Administrative building, which I met a foundation that was there for 20 something odd years. I took it on myself with the APNU AFC Minister Bulkan. I lobby. I get that building up and going. Nigel Darmlal, then Minister of Local Government, I lobby him. I get some money more. We started the building. I left for $109 million to complete that admin building. The contract was signed. Hiccups met with that contractor. The council took a few decisions on the contractor. To date, that building I left, that building is not completed, and that building, not one work has done on that building. These things bleed my heart. City Hall building, currently constructing, renovation of City Hall building itself. I fought tooth and nail with the government to get that building up and going. Right? I have all those letters. I will publish all one day to the public seat. At one point of time, I insulted the president in a letter. And then the minister, Dharmalal, called and said, look, let me get this thing going, Mayor Narine. We will have a signing ceremony and we'll get this thing going. So I'm happy I was able to initiate that commencement of restoring City Hall building. And I'm happy to see it coming very well, right? So the city has a lot of work to do.
What about Kitty Market, Mr. Mayor? What about Kitty Market? It was on your tenure too, right? Kitty Market was on your tenure as well.
Kitty Market, I met Kitty Market there, but I Kitty Market had a lot of internal work to do, and we did it. I saw in the news recently that they decided again to open the market. That was decided about 5 times under my tenure. 5 times to reopen Kitty Market. I don't know what is taking the administration of City Hall to reopen Kitty Market. Kitty Market is a market that can bring a lot of revenues to the council. I does not know if the council don't need money. So the policies of the council, I always stick by a principle policies. I did not hesitate to make amendment to policies and to pass new policies at the level of city council. And that is how I lead City Hall with my fellow councils, including the now mayor who was my deputy, a man that I have respect for, who I thought that learned a lot from that council that I was in charge of. But I haven't seen the mayor active that much. I haven't hearing from the mayor. I'm not seeing a statement from the mayor, and I'm not attacking him personally here, or I'm attacking him. I believe he need to be more visible. He need to be more out there with the people, and policies. He need to put certain things in the public. I saw GRA went after the city council. GRA's I pass and disrespect the council, because GRA, I always maintain one position. GRA is operating on Lamaha railway embankment without any cost. They pay city council nothing. They prepare parking lots in front of GRA, paying city council not a dime. So GRA, GPL, owe city council when I left over 10 billion Guyana dollars. Over 10 billion Guyana dollars. Then you had a minister, Edgel, who stood up in parliament when the motion for the cemetery was debated and ready to ridicule party and political party about taxes and all these things, but did not speak that under his watch, one of his agency, which is GPL, owes city council over 10 billion Guyana dollars. The Guyana fishery owes city council over 7 billion Guyana dollars. That come under the Ministry of Agriculture. Private sector, when I left, the private sector commission wrote me to ask to remove some of the interest and so. I don't know if the private sector had paid up those money. I didn't waive anything. The council had to decide that. So
but Mr. Mayor, let me cut you for a second. But Mr. Mayor, I mean, all these entities owing the city all those monies, billions of dollars. What is the problem from not getting them to pay city council? What is the issue of not being able for them to even pay city council that money? And it's owed to the council.
This is all the laws that I had in my office, and I got it with me still. These act or laws of this country have been violated. Every 5 years, this city ought to be valued by the chief valuation officer on the instruction of the finance minister. That hasn't happened 20 odd years. The last valuation of the city was 1996. So when the vice president come recently, I saw, and attacked the mayor and councillor on revaluation, the vice president himself was violating the laws of this country. And that is telling you that these people does not have the interests of this country development, but they have the interests of selfishness, friends, family, and favoritism.
So you're saying, Mr. Mayor, that there is no recourse, even if you go to the courts, there is no recourse to solve these matters, to get these companies to pay up. There's no summons. No. There's no anything.
No, the only thing you have to do is to negotiate with these people, and you carry them to court. I carry people to court, and you see what happened and took place there at the court. The court system, I wouldn't bash the Chief Justice nor the Chancellor. It's a very slow process. It takes years. I took over cases from T.S. Green and Hamilton Green. right? So you have to put a mechanism in place where you can seize people property and sell it
Mm-hmm.
off for the taxes they owe.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we have those kind of law in place, people would not realize and get themselves together, especially the private sector um, entities, right? Revaluation for the city is a necessity for the city for have revenue. Why don't you want to revalue the city? Because you have people still on Regent Street paying $10,000, $6,000 a year.
And making
That is
billions and millions
unfair.
of dollars a year.
Look,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no fear again to say it, Giflan. You know the story with me and Giflan. Giflan don't pay the council at the diner to date,
What?
right? The the court order when I took Giflan to court order that the valuation office must go and revalue this place and do everything properly. We agreed. Today, to date, that hasn't happened, right? That hasn't happened, right? I don't know if they do it now. I don't know. When I left there, it wasn't. So I must say very clear that we have people here in this country abusing and disregard the poorer class of people of this country, and that is one instance alone. So city council need to get their act together. I have fought a battle which I wish not to enter again at the level of the city council. And I am calling on the mayor and the councillors, the deputy mayor, and even the officers. You know, I have great respect for some of the officers there at city council that I believe who was suppressed because they have know their job well, and they will act according to the laws of the city and would not take political direction. And one such a person I respect for that is Miss Sherry Jerrick, who I think is the HR acting. That young lady will challenge me, right? Some decision I will make at council. Like you said, your worship, I have to, the law states so and so, and we will go down this road. And she will said, let us get a legal advice. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, Miss Sherry Jerrick was a woman that will always have the council interest. And she always will guide the council on the right path. She was,
Mm.
to my knowledge and my view, she was suppressed because she was a individual would not take political directions. She will stick by principles, um, and so on. So you have a next guy by the name of Kabila Hollingsworth. He is the next guy I have great respect for. Always the council can ask him to get an estimate and he will get the estimate. He will get Sting Dong Boston, this deputy city engineer. And next guy, I can call these individual name: John Douglas, the doctor, Reynolds, um, Walter Narine. Sometimes he play politics, but Walter Narine, you have to understand him. You know, you have to understand Walter Narine, and you will get away wrong these officers to do the people's work in the city. I believe these officers are great officers there, and they need to be given a fair chance to help the city. We cannot continue like this, weeks, and that's why I decided to call out city council this morning. I have seen many things that happening in the city. Look, if you come to opposite Scotiabank on Carmichael Street, there is a heap of sun for the past 6 months affecting parking. 6 months affecting parking. A heap of sun in front Scotiabank. There's somewhere wrong there. You can't park because a heap of sand there, and
Mm.
you have no parking. You can't park. You take up about 3 parking space, right? So I really can't understand what is happening. So I am saying that government is unfair to the city council. While the city council need to get up and start draft policies, I'm here if they need my help. I leave about 4 or 5 policies on the table. I haven't seen one yet at the level of city council. Those policies should be tabled to bring in more revenue to the city council. I'm willing to offer my help. I'm willing to help any councillors that approach me on policies. I believe the city has potential, great potential, but we are failing in certain areas. And I will say um, money, material, and management. Very, very
Hmm.
important. Three
Money,
M's.
material, and management. I have Onyx Duncan on the other side of the broadcast. Onyx, you have a question for Mr. Norine?
Yes, Mr. Ubraj Narine. I listened to you for the past 10 minutes or so, and you spoke a lot about city management and policies. I want to know what was one of those policies that you would have brought to the council, right? Brought to the council, and it was shut down by probably the council, or a
The
policy that you
government.
would have brought to the local government commission and was shut down. And if it was that so important and they shut it down, what was that policy or policies?
The I can clearly say my councillors did not shut down any policies I put forward before the council. However, another local government commission is the minister of local government, then Darmlal. The littering bylaws, we did a littering bylaws. Many people does not know that this city does not have a littering bylaws. We did a draft. The littering bylaws was we follow the constitution or the laws 28 to 1. We did all the necessary. We had consultation. We bring in stakeholders. We listen to them. We make amendments. We approve it. We debated at the council level. It was signed and sent by the town clerk office to the minister, which was then Darmlal. Darmlal responded and said, look, we have to make some more amendments. We did such. We sent it back, and it died there. The building bylaws is outdated. The building codes are outdated. We engaged Charles Series, who is an expert, who is a engineer by profession. And the engineer association was on board with us. The private sector was on board with us on these drafting as well. We send it to them. We get consultation. The council approve it. The last and final saying was the city engineer, and it died right there. The city engineer never make the comment or make the adjustment of that bylaw, so that never went to the minister. It is still sitting at city council, and I hope and pray that those things are being looked at, man. It really, really, really need to be looked at. So my council never shut no policy, because policy I took to the council was genuine and was logic to deal with city council issues.
And nothing,
Yeah.
not a thing, not a thing. Any more questions, Onyx?
Um, Question. Current state of affairs of not the council, but the general government, Ubraj, former mayor. What do you think is the current state of affairs in regards to providing assistance to local democratic organs? Because I'm going to bring this up back again. We had a visit here in Betterforwacton by the vice president, and I asked a question based on local democracy, because you would like every democratic organ or local democratic organ to function on their own without the dependency of the government. And the question was asked and put to VP, because they were providing services with situation, current affairs, and situations that we have and difficulties that we have in the community, right? So I asked, are you going to continue this help? Are you going to continue giving services to the community without going through the local democratic organ? Because you know the local democratic organ supposed to reach out to the community and say, well, this is what we're going to do, or ask the people what we want to see happening in the community. And the blunt answer was, we don't ever wait. We don't want to wait on the NDC or any local democratic organ. The government is there to do the job. So how is that empowering and how is that affecting the people? And I know you have a lot to say on that. So, Ubraj, over to you.
I the vice president, let me tell you, is a very disrespectful guy when it comes to democracy. And I believe, this is my personal view, that if the PPP happen to get a two-third majority in parliament, they will done away with local government system in this country. That is my personal view. That is my view. That is how
We
I
hadn't had it in 20 something years, in 20, how much
yes.
years?
If they happen to get two-third majority, they will turn away. They will push local government democracy out of the chapter of the constitution of this country. So that's my first point. The second point I want to make, that the government does not respect local authorities, municipality, tongue, NDC, that does not respect those local organs. They want to be in control, right? They want to take control at every level of governance. And this is what we must understand with this current government, the PPP. They does not respect democracy. They does not respect an individual view or a village view or a community view. They must be in control, take control, and mandate, whether they had consultation with the people or not, what they want to do for that area, it must be done. So that is how I view the PPP government. And I must make mention this kind of subvention that is given to NDC and municipalities in this country. It is a shame for a local government minister, Sonia Parag, go to parliament and say, we will give the NDC $5 million this year in the recent budget. We will give City Hall the same 30 million again. You know, they should be ashamed of themselves. 30 million subvention cannot do nothing for the city. And people must understand that some of the fines and fees that have been collected by the court go to the consolidated fund. And there is an act called the Fiscal and Transfer Act, which stipulated very nicely in that act that where and how city council must be allocated government funds. That hasn't happened for decades in our country under the PPP. When the APNU AFC were in government, I can clearly say this. In my first 10 years, 2019, I worked with the Minister Bulkan, and we were able to receive closely to $200 to $300 million in equipments and other necessary machinery for the city council.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. On City Hall, you know, have you got any updates on this big fancy hotel that the government is trying to force down the throat of the city and the mayor and the citizens of this country on you know, this long stretch of land? I see they have works going on there right now. What do you think might come out of that story?
Look, and again, I will have to say this. I am not bashing anybody at City Council, but it's over a year. And I don't really necessarily agree with the PPP government on certain things, but I'm a man of principle. I agree with the vice president. Oh, sorry, not the vice president. The attorney general recently made a statement that if, and I know for a fact the land is City Council land, the whole entire stretch, it was leased to different agency for recreational purposes. And that land there, City Council has the transport and every necessary document. Over a year now, it should be filed in the court. It should be gone to court, file an injunction. How these people plan approve to start construction there? Where is the city engineer? That is my question. Where is the city engineer? Is the city engineer exist? Right? If work is going on there, the land has a dispute, right? A cease order should be served on the company until this matter ventilated in the court, so that both sides can be clear, government and the city council side. Whether the court rule in favor for the government, so be it. Whether you rule in favor for the city council, so be it. So we got a clear boundary of ownership of this property. Because if government claim they have a transport, city council claim they'd have a transport, let the court decide. I haven't seen an injunction. I haven't seen a case filed at the level of the court. So that is all I'm aware of reading in the media.
Alex? Any question on that?
No questions, Andrew. No questions.
Well, thank you. So we are having a what do you call it? An intrusion on the city council by the government. Well, a bullyism by the government to take over that plot of land beyond any reasonable doubt. But it's going to be a long. I think it's going to be a long case battle. You're going to be trashed in the courts. It's going to be a long battle. But let's see what's going to happen.
Before you go, Weeks, let me make one more comment on City Hall. There is a bylaw in the 2801 who give the city council right of billboards. The question was asked in Parliament to Minister Edgil. Minister Edgil claimed and said that the road is be done by Public Works. So they take it over to give permission to erect signs. The minister can't give nobody permission. The Minister of Public Works does not have the authority by law to give anyone permission to erect signboards, whether on the government parapet or on city council parapet. The law clearly identifies the authority whom should give permission to erect signboards or billboards in the city. I was fighting that battle, but my time came to an end. I couldn't move forward on it. So that is the next matter should reach the court, because the ministry is collecting all the revenue for these billboards and give people of their choice. The bylaws stated very clearly in 2801 posting bylaws that the city council has the prerogative and has the authority to give such a permission and charge a fee. So that need to be looked at. One more policy I left at City Council. They call occupant certificate. I wrote the city engineer and he did respond to that. And he outlined the direction we should take on the issuance of occupant's certificate. The bylaw, I have the bylaw in my computer, the policy in my computer here. I can go over these things with this council. Just the policy now has to pass in conjunction with the law of 2801. And that entire department can be established. So when you complete a building, you have to get occupant certificate from City Council. And that is a revenue as well for the City Council. So if you have a mall and that mall got 20 cubics, each one of that cubics has to get an occupant certificate. While overall the building will get one, the cubics has to get one as well, because they're operating separately and it must be inspected by the city engineer department, and the City Council will has to issue on the inspection, and you're pleased with the inspection, well, we hereby issue occupant certificate. And that certificate is a yearly inspection has to be done, and a yearly certificate has to be issued to that company, individual, or a business. That is the next way the City Council can gain revenue. That policy is in the same very computer. That policy was discussed in my tenure at the level of the council. I hasn't seen any word on those policies. And that is what I drive a passion to create and draft policy, because that is the only way you can able to equip yourself to garner revenue beside of rates and taxes, which is outdated, the valuation outdated, and government funding. You can create policies with the conjunction of the 28 to 1 at the level of the city council.
Oh, a mountain of trouble. All right, let's move on. Mr. Mayor. Now there's a big concern not only by the PPP, but followers of the PPP, that you now seems to become the best friend of the Mohammeds. And since that happened, a whole barrage of attacks have been leveled against Mr. Mohammed. You will see the recent one in Region 2 with the PPP councillor. What are your, since you have been so very close with Mr. Mohammed, how would you characterize Mr. Mohammed in your own words?
Look, I issue a statement on such a thing already, and I will go it over here. Chronicle tried to stain my reputation by placing my name and picture in an article on, I believe it was the 8th of March 2025, and I rebutted it. I cleared the air and set the record straight in terms of financial assistance and so on from the Mohammeds. I have never take, ask, or demand any financial support or finance any dealt or deal with any financial transaction with the Mohammeds. I stick to my principle. The Mohammeds and me, yes, we're friends. Not now, since I was mayor. If you can recall, when the sanction came out, I believe it was 2022 or 2023, I was mayor. I the first one to issue a press release from the mayor's office in support of the Mohammeds. He never asked me to do that, but with my right conscience and to analyze what the PPP was trying and still trying to do to the Mohammeds, I issue a press release from the mayor's office. I was called, abused out by my political comrades. I had no time because I'm an independent individual when it comes to the mayor's office. And I always like to be fair to people. If the US sanctioned this man, or this man is being sanctioned by the US, we must remember that Irfan Ali became president of this country with 19 fraud charges and sanctioned and banned by the Canadian government. We must remember that. We must not stray away from history, from our political arena. So if this gentleman has been sanctioned by the US, it does not stop me to have a friendship, relationship, or associate myself with this gentleman. I see no problem with that. I haven't violated the US laws, neither my country laws. I haven't been sanctioned. I wasn't told I am being sanctioned. And I don't find a reason why the US will sanction me because I'm friend with this gentleman. Are you saying to me because this gentleman is sanctioned, he cannot have friend, he cannot go to the supermarket and buy, he has to live, he has to eat, he has a life, right? But the way the vice president attacked and stained the Mohammeds after receiving all those billions of dollars, the PPP party received billions of dollars, I guess, in 2020 election from the Mohammeds, right? He should have complained now and said, look, the US, in fact, should investigate the PPP high-ranking officials, because you have a vice president who was saying disgusting things on his press conference last week and even this week again. The lawlessness has a statement echo from his mouth to this public, both national and internationally, is looking on. The US should launch an investigation on the Vice President, Irfan Ali, and the Attorney General, and all of them. right? Because the PPP is no saint in this country. The PPP party is a victimized party, love to victimize people for freedom of expression, to, to stifle people's views. And the Vice President Mara Jagdeo continue to use words of such which shouldn't be used in the political arena. So the Mohammeds, for me, they have their own battle. They're fighting. I'm just a normal common friend to this gentleman. And I want to tell the public that I am no administrator. I'm not being paid a salary or paid any money or in any way or any form to be with the Mohammeds or side with the Mohammeds. If you violate the law, you face a consequence correctly. But others violated the law as well with this gentleman. And they're not facing the consequence. So the United States, who I have tremendous respect for, when it comes to certain world power, should launch an investigation on these officials. Should launch an investigation to these officials. If I was the US, I will invite Mr. Mohammed for an interview. Both son and father. And only if they're willing to talk, exposed the PPP officials. They're shameless.
You mean a Vice News interview you're talking about? A Vice News interview?
Well, if you know, we wrote the IFAD, which I am the vice chair, wrote the Commission of Police to launch investigation on IFAD. Launch investigation on Vice News, with Sue. Hasn't yet a response yet. Are these things going on deaf ears? The international community need to look on. And I believe that some of our international bodies are compromised. I have no fear of saying that. Some of our ambassadors and high commissioners, some of them are compromised. Some of them are compromised. And they should not...
Yeah, Mr. May, go ahead.
They should not take that route of being compromised. They should stand for democracy of this country. But you know, I heard sometimes benefit for their countries and all these things. But you know something, I respect the U.S. ambassador. I believe she's a professional individual. She's acting professional. I have looked at her statement, and you can feel her energy. You know, I have seen the same with the British. You know, that's my personal view. I have great respect for these ladies who play diplomacy or diplomatic role for their country in Guyana. But some other ambassadors and high commissioners, they're compromised. I can tell you. I've listened to some of them. And we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful with them in the upcoming election.
Yeah. So, Mr. Narine, you're saying that you're a good friend of Mr. Mohammed. You don't have you're not been paid any salary. You have not gotten any financial support from Mr. Mohammed. But it seems that the country loved the man because of his philanthropic works that he's been doing and helping the poor and the needy and so on. And a lot of folks would like to see Mr. Mohammed run for the presidency. Now, that in some view seems to be the populist view right now. What is your view? Do you think he should run for president?
Look, I have asked him that, and you know, he did not give a positive response. That what is his intention as a friend? I just asked him. But put aside that, whether the man run for president or not, he form a political party or not, is to show that the PPP is failing our nation because you have a man who using his own resources, the people gravitating to him, he's helping the people, he's standing with the people by assisting the people with his own resources. It tells you a lot about the current government, the failure of the current government in these communities. It tells a lot. And that is what we have to look at. Right? That is what we have to look at. A man here using his resources, helping people. People gravitate to him because people, they're punishing. Poverty is real in this country. Poverty is real in this country. And he is helping people. Whatever he can do, he do. But you have a government who try now to stain, to fabricate, to bring down a man who is assisting the Guyanese people, which the government is not doing with state resources. Compare it. You compare it and you will see. So Mr. Mohammed, whatever, like I make mention in my post when I've been with him a few areas, humanitarian services this man is providing to my Guyanese brothers and sisters. He is a Guyanese too. I want to see my people out of poverty. So the government is failing in this aspect. And that's why they will come after Mr. Mohammed or the Mohammeds. They will come after Nigel Hughes. They will come after people like myself, people like yourself, Travis Chase, Melly Mel. They will come after us because we are very vocal on the failure by the PPP government towards the Guyanese population.
Onyx, you have a question?
Yes. Question. Former mayor, I just want to take on your political life right now, your current political life and future aspirations. Do you see yourself going in back into public office? One, and two, given that you stand by Mr. Mohammed and everything that he's doing, and I'm glad that you said it publicly as a friend. You know, once you're a good friend and a true friend to somebody, you stand by them in full support because you know that person truly. But do you think standing by Mr. Mohammed, your political life will be affected in regards to the party that you're affiliated with, and also to your future aspirations as a public figure?
Look, I have said in my same statement I issue, I'm a politician and I always be transparent with the public on my political platform. I am not one will hide behind doors to talk to the Mohammeds. I will do it publicly and openly. I have nothing to fear of. I have nothing to hide. So my political party, who I'm a member of, I have a life. So has nothing to do with my political party. I can choose to be friend with Weeks with you. You are AFC. Right? We must not mix personality with politics or policies of a government. I took a picture on Pagwa Day with the president, prime minister, and I believe it's Gita Chandan in the picture as well. I received some terrible comments on my WhatsApp and I had to tell them who is my comrades. They did not learn or read about Fong, the leader Fabs Bonham. You does not mix personal life with the policies of the government. I have nothing against Irfan Ali and Bharajak Deo. I have what they had done to the people. The policy is bad for the nation. Their policy is a disgrace, is discriminating against our Guyanese people. And it's not now the PPP policies Back in then, if you go to history of this country, 1992 to now, when the PPP run this country, the history can tell you that the policy has been bad, terrible for Guyana. When you look in the 1940s and 1950s in history, it is because of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum we had achieved what we have today. The Heroes Highway, the bridge that building, all is documented in the 1970 development plan that had done in Forbes Barnum tenure. PPP is executing it because it does not have a proper policy. They don't know where to go, how to run this country. Look at VAT. Bahamas, VAT is 10%. Guyana is the only country got 14, was 16%. The coalition bring it down to 14 and it still remain at 14. Look at PAYE. All those things should be abundant, man. We have a nation and we need leadership to take care of our people. We cannot sit idly. So my political life, my friend, my office, if I intend to hold public office, let me say this very clear. I have never intended to be the mayor of the city of Georgetown. It was called upon me and I served and I give it my best shot. And if my political life, I am given a political office to serve again, I will so serve the people of this nation. I will so serve the people of this nation. I am not a person looking for any position. I'm out of office 2 years now. And that does not, I have no attachment to an office. I have attachment to the people I believe to listen to. We need to listen to them and serve them. So I have great aspiration, inspiration, ambition in the political arena. But I believe everything happened with time, the right timing, and with God, grace, and blessings.
Thank you.
You have a follow-up question, Onyx?
No, my direct question would have been, what is your the word I'm looking for? What is your status with your political party, the PNCR? I know I'm not sure if you're an executive member. You can just bring up to speed if you are. And
no, I'm not an executive member of the People's National Congress Reform. I'm just a normal financial member, and I'm with my group and so on, and that's it. I'm just here being an advocate for democracy and this kind of suppression that the PPP is doing to our people currently in Guyana.
Have you ever
thank
been
you.
offered, Mayor Narine, a call from the party leader to become a member of the executive of the party?
Not no such.
Are you still good friends of the leader of the executive, or leader of the party of the PNCR? Do
I
you have
have
your
no
confidence?
I have no problem and issue with anyone. I don't know if anybody have issue with me. So be it. I am open.
So you say you don't have the confidence of the leader of the party?
I'm
Yes.
not saying that. You ask me if I'm a friend of the. I have no issue. I have no issue of anyone. But if I'm not welcome, I'm not welcome. If I welcome, I welcome. I'm in my corner.
Mm, mm. Recently, Ubraj Narine, there have been a number of, what should I call it? A number of surprises from your party pertaining to two members who resigned from your party. Um, you had Vanessa Kisoon resigning. You have former General Secretary of the party resigning, Ms. Amna Ali. Um, would you say that there are serious issues with the party that needs to be solved quickly before we get into an election? Because there are some gruntled members out there who does not like what's going on. What would be your advice to the leader of the party to get
Well,
this done and to get this over with quickly?
look. I wouldn't speak directly to the leadership of the party. I will say it openly. I am not going to speak to the Mr. Aubrey Norton, directly here on your interview. I will give my view holistically and generally. I believe the party has lost two dynamic, vibrant women. Amna Ali, who I have known for a while, her father served the PNC. She, as a teacher, served the PNC in her youth till at this age, over 50 years of service to the party. And we must not be ungrateful to people like them. We must honor and respect people like them, because serving a political party, the amount of ridiculed you have to face out there, the amount of things you have to go out of your way to get. And let me say this to you, Amna Ali was a woman who could have picked up her phone and call anybody in this country when the political party has a function, and get the work done and get it done. People may not like her other side, where I saw some statement, people say she was abusive. Look, Amna and me had our issues, right? Amna will call me, and me and she will have our tit-to-tat on the telephone. I have never disrespected her. She have never disrespected me. But we must understand party politics. When you see you in a driving force on a driven seat, you must have that person must use the authority to get things done, and that was Amnali, right? That was Amnali. Vanessa Kisoon, I believe, is a dynamic individual, a woman, I believe, that had done so much for the party and her constituents. Linden, herself, and I respect Sharma Salomon. These two individuals, I believe, have thrown themselves out for our political party. So Amna and the leader may have their differences. That is not my concern. But the way she was treated was not nice. I can be treated the same way, right? As an Indo-Guyanese in the party, and that is something I haven't seen. And I'm being blunt here. I haven't seen much rationale of ethnicity within the party for the past 3 years, right? I'm not saying anyone is racist or anything, but I haven't seen it. And I'm being very fair and frank here, right? I haven't seen that. Amna Ali, I have worked with Amna Ali. I have worked with David Granger. I've worked with Joe Harman. I've worked with Vola Lawrence. I've worked a little with Robert Carwin, right? I never come across those kind of behavior, what is happening currently. A party must see unity. I may have my differences with the leader, with a comrade, or with someone, but we must not put it out there. We must deal with it inside, right? Now when you call, you say, oh, I didn't know. Oh, you say so? No, those things is not a game show we are dealing with. We have to deal with problems as it arise and find a solution so that we can move on in unity, right? We can move on with unity. I again call for a united front to head the 2025 election. We can defeat the PPP, We have to put aside our egos. And that is what some of our political leaders are not doing. They got ego. They got pride. In Hindi, you call it abhiman. We're not ready to put aside those things for the sake of thousands of Guyanese. We have to put aside the abhiman, the ego, the pride, for the betterment, not for myself, but for the people of this country and the country's resources. It's at stake under the PPP.
Ubraj, heading into 2025 elections, how do you see us overcoming the People's Progressive Party? I think we went into elections in 2015 as a coalition. Do you think that in order for us to get back into government, one, we should head into the government as a coalition? And how do we sustain the government, the coalition government? Because we would have had a lot of hiccups, and I think we should have learned from those hiccups, and we need to get back into government and be sustainable and stay there. How do you think we should go into
Oh,
2025 elections?
thank you very much. I'm not put aside. I'm not being disrespectful to the elders. We need the elders. We need
Definitely.
the elders. We need the advice. We need them to be behind us and let us take the front as young individuals. And let me say this: we have to give the PPP credit for these things. They've placed young people before and the elders at the back.
That's correct.
We have to do the same. We must not be. We must not be on a scale where everything is wrong. We have to give the PPP credit for that. They place young people and the elders behind them, driving the force, because we are the future for this country. We need the elders. We need their blessings. We need their guidance. We need their protection. We need them at our right side.
Hmm.
I'm not pushing away them, but we have failed that in our government. We failed that.
That's correct.
We failed
We
young
push
people.
the young people aside.
Let me be very frank. I'm speaking my mind here this morning, right? And if we are heading to the 2025 election, we must head as a coalition. I believe in coalition government. I believe a coalition will be rational for distribution of our resources and the spending of our resources fund. We can reach to consensus at any level. All problems has a solution, you know. But we sometimes as leaders don't want the solution because it does not benefit us. And we try to play the card out. Right? So I believe a coalition will be better to enter the 2025 election. I believe young people should be in front
Leading the
of the
way.
2025 election. I'm not putting out the elders. I respect the elders. We need them. We want them. They're very important to us.
Correct.
But young people, we have brilliant, we have bright young people in this country who want to be a part of the opposition, who want to make a difference in the people's life of this country, but they're not given a fair chance. They've been shoved at a back level or a back seat. Well, I'm not a yes man. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, leader. I'm not that individual. I'm very vocal. You don't like me? That's fine with me. Let me stay in my house. Right? Me don't care me plate no nobody and beg them for nothing. I sustain myself. The little I have. I thank the Almighty. So that's why I can be very vocal. But people does not want solution because of their ego again. And we must understand that it's not about me and I. It's about us. This country depends on us.
Mr. Narine, thank you for that. Those comments there. Let us jump to another serious matter as well. You spoke a little bit about Melly Mel and what she's going through and the attacks on her and the government lobbying firm that is in America right now, lobbying the US on matters of state, and possibly everybody is saying possibly it might have had something to do with the president's recent visit to America, with that secretary there, I think it's Secretary of Transportation, pertaining to getting Melly Mel off the air and into into the ICE camp in prison there. Um, what are your thoughts on these developments? Is it a lesson that the government is trying to put on us and trying to say to silence those who would speak out against the government on matters that are true, or is it just fear tactics from the government? What would
Look,
be your advice to Melly Mel and those
I I
in our circle?
I did a full editorial on Melimel matter, and I said I stand in unwavering solidarity with Melimel, and I support her. Melimel, I said it on Norman Brown show. I believe she was the opposition in this country. Everything was on media. All information she will disclose, correct and accurate information that you will receive from individual, even the government officials, on the corruption that this PPP government is doing to this country. And my editorial stayed very clear. I don't believe alone with the president visit in the US recently. I believe it started since the visit with Pompeo, Mike Pompeo, former US Secretary of State. He visited Guyana twice with no official office, and he had meeting with Vice President Barajagdeo. To date, no one knows the agenda of that meeting. No one knows what was brought it from the meeting. No one knows the discussion or agreement of such a meeting. Transparency is the bedrock of any democracy. Any democracy. And we have to understand that when government officials like the vice president engage in such a discussion, they must able to come to this public and tell this public, well, this is the discussion and this was the agenda. I believe the former US Secretary of State and the VP Jagdeo alleged of some agreement to silence people who live in the United States. Mike Pompeo may have nothing to do with the US present government, but he may have influence with other senators, other secretaries for the various departments, the FBI. He may have influence within those departments, and that can lead to certain things as well. I must make mention that I stand with Melimel, that I have great respect for Trump, President Trump. I've looked at him. I've watched him. And I don't believe that he is that or his administration will get carried away with the PPP. It will have to be lobbyists, lobbying senators and secretaries of departments to help this PPP government. I believe Trump is a man of his word, and he will not tolerate any injustice to happen to human life and threat to human life in the world. I have deemed the US as the world power, my personal view, and I know for a fact that Melimel will give information on this government, on the riot, that what they're doing with our resources in this, and the kind of corruption they're involved in this country. And I know for a fact she's wise and she's a brilliant woman, where she will know how to handle herself. I lift up her in prayers, and I hope that she does not return in this country. And I believe that the US will not act in any way with haste to send home her like that, because the kind of victimization. And I even said to the government, if this young lady returned home, it will not be easy. We will not be idled if she's attacked and the government retaliate against her, we will stand with her. We'll stand for justice, truth, and fairness and democracy. And the people of this country will come out by numbers. They will have surprise. So Melly Mel is a champion of women, champion of democracy, where she unveiled the kind of corruption the government continue to do every day in this country. She is the one who had some ministers issuing statement after statement, even get confused at times that the statement they issued and go back and issue back a next statement to cover up what they issued. So the US got brilliant people, they're wise, they're bright, and they will act according to informations that is given to them. Vice President have to watch himself before he gets sanctioned.
Onyx.
um, Great words by former mayor there. I do understand, and it's a trying situation. I also made a statement on behalf of the YFC and as the vice president of the YFC, standing in support of Melly Mel. And this government, as we all know, Ubraj, undermines democracy, and they would do anything for you to stay quiet, for you to be silenced. And I feel as though that's one of the reasons why young people like myself and yourself, are victimized, because they want to silence us so that we are not able to tell the people the truth, And I want to also make mention of another one of our young people, critics in society, very much critical of the People's Progressive Party, was very critical of the APNU-AFC coalition, Mr. Francis Michael Bailey. And I await the reports from Francis Michael Bailey at 6 p.m. because he has been also bringing out information about conversations that Mr. Ahmad has been having with people to try to stay in and stay in the name of Mr. Mohammed. What is your take on that, Ubraj?
Look, I don't look at, I see the Guyana Daily News if you're speaking of. I
Yeah,
don't bother with Daily News because I believe it's a propaganda page, and a page just like Live in Guyana or Live in Guyana, what you call it. That page, Live in
run by
Guyana,
Robin Singh.
um, reported to the police force as well, and all these things are cyber bully.
Yeah,
I believe that Mohammed should file a report on Guyana Daily News of cyberbullying. Right, the act is there. You actually you posting up this man image and all these things without the beer charts and all these things. It's cyberbullying, right?
that's correct.
I don't pay attention to Guyana Daily News. I believe it's a propaganda page. It's a page of misinformation, a page which don't have any kind of form of credibility. And they're posting up about me just now too. They're posting before. So I really don't pay attention to Guyana Daily News. They can post what they want to post about me. I reach to a stage in politics that nothing can bore me skin that easily. Whether you want target me in what form, it don't bother me. I've been through enough. I went through enough. Those things don't bother me. Francis, I follow Francis as well, a guy that bring out different news and corruption within the government. He highlighted a lot of things with the housing sector and so on. They targeting him as how now. And for example, the government, the PPP government, to date, so Kunigana Police Force didn't launch an investigation in the pharmacy of housing, all the allegation, and he resigned behind. And he got away quietly, sitting in a quiet corner, alleged all the money that he took, buy properties, all these allegation made towards him. And the vice president is there bashing people on every Thursday. What happened with the investigation with Mr. Greaves? Let me get an investigation with Mr. Greaves. What is happening with Mr. Greaves? All the allegation. So it's a one-sided thing, man.
Eh, indeed, one-sided. Uh, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for that comment. Before we go, we give you some time because we know that you have a lot to say, and that we any final thoughts before we go on the Venezuela border situation.
I no, I have I wrote down a few things I want to speak on the Venezuela matter. If
Go
you go
ahead.
into that, I will.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, this government is not being let me say it, vigilant. They're not being vigilant at all when it comes to our border issue. Now, recently we saw a Venezuela army ship or vessel or whatever you want to call it wronged one of our rig, the Stabrook block. People may not understand that the Stabrook block that the vessel was circling is way down in Borbis, right? People may not understand that. And this ship or vessel, let me use vessel, traveled through the Essequibo, the Demerara, and end up till at Stabrook Block. That is somewhere in Borbis water. So that alone tells me that the government is not really paying attention on our border issue. They're not being vigilant. Where this vessel traveled through Essequibo, Demerara, and end up in Borbis. Look at that distance. Where where is the government? Right? The government need to be more vigilant. For example, we had a crash helicopter must be a year now, where our servicemen, few of them died. To date, we haven't heard anything from the government on this crash helicopter. We had recently opened fire on our servicemen again, but claimed Venezuela did open fire on them. We haven't heard anything from them. Recently, Maduro challenged President Ali to face off a meeting with Caribbean leaders. President Ali responded, I believe, and said that he is not interested to attend any meeting. I don't know if that is factual. But I can say this much. The PR on this Venezuelan matter is not properly administrated. And there's no unit form for tackle this Venezuela matter. I believe, and this is my view, you should have a committee headed by the president or the prime minister who is versed in the army, who was a brigadier. He should be head of the committee, inclusion of the opposition, members of the opposition, member of the trade union, member civil society, religious committee, a huge committee. A national conference should be held, inviting both government and opposition and political parties, trade unions, civil society, religious bodies to come together. And even this conference must welcome ordinary Guyanese so they can understand that we can send a strong message to Venezuela as well. A national conference. And this conference should be held in Essequibo, not Georgetown, in Essequibo. so that we can able to stand with our people in Essequibo, and we will defend our sovereignty at all costs. I served in the GDF. I was disembodied by this commanding chief because of that issue at New Market Street when I opened my voice on him. I was disembodied my staff sergeant rank. However, I'm willing to fight for my nation. I'm willing to die for my nation, because this land belongs to us as Guyanese. I believe that more need to be done for our servicemen in the army. More base need to be erected in the Essequibo Coast, Region 1, Region 7, and those areas. More equipment, a better salary and wages to them. They're putting their life at stake here. They have family, they have children. They need to be well taken care of. The Guyana Defense Force need a lot more. And this government is sleeping. We cannot depend alone on the United States of America or the Latin America. We have to pull ourselves together, our act together. You know, I admire Forbes Burnham. I admire him. When you listen to Forbes Burnham on issues like this, you wish today if those men could have been alive to deal with issues like what we're facing here at the border. President Ali is weak. The PPP government is weak in terms of dealing with our border issues. I'm not saying to go to war or retaliate. Conferences, seminars need to be done in this country, not only in Georgetown, but we need to do it in Essequibo, Port-Bees, Demerara, in every administrative region. Educate our people. And that's why Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, I give him credit. National service was a key as well in defending our sovereignty, because many of the public officers in the public sector does not have knowledge, and that's why you had to pass through national service to gain knowledge of certain things, that when a foreigner happened to come there, you know, to deal with them. And national service officers that want public office or employed by public office that be placed from Region 1 to Region 10. Bring back the militia. Let every Guyanese be army. Let every Guyanese be a soldier to defend our nation. Forbes Burnham had done that. The PPP had crumbled it to dust, had destroyed it. And that's why they don't have a strategy. They don't have a vision. They do not understand how to deal with this issue with Venezuela. So we have to do much more. And we have to understand that this matter will not be today and tomorrow. This matter here will be for generation to come. And we must educate every Guyanese. This here should be implemented in schools as well, from primary school to secondary school, to deal with our issue on borders, our sovereignty. You have people like Todd, you have people like Ben will go and say on recently, if you side with Venezuela, you go get locked up. Well, I want to tell Minister Ben he's out of order, because many Guyanese does not understand what is happening with the Venezuela issue, because his government is silent on it. There's no PR. There's no public relations office or unit set up by this government to deal with such a matter. If there is any unit Therefore, the unit is not doing a good job. All of them should be fired. I'm very passionate with this issue with Venezuela, and people does not understand fully the entire story or the entire issue surrounding Venezuela and Essequibo region. So we have to pull our act together, and I want to see our servicemen be taken care of. The soldiers must be taken care of, not 100%. Beyond, our GDF men and women should be equipped, not only with guns. I'm not up there. You have to listen to the experts and start negotiation with other countries so that we can get help if there happen to be any aggressive move on Venezuela part. We can't sit idly. We can't depend on US statement alone. We must act. We got resources, and we must put it to good use. So I stand with my GDF brothers and sisters. I want to see they receive more. This, what they're receiving, is a drop in the ocean. The government must provide a package, a proper package for them. So much of them gets shot out of the day. What have become to them? What happened to them? We don't know. Plane crash, we don't know. In a plane, helicopter, sorry. So, weeks, people must understand the vessel was in Barbados water. Travel through. Wear Coast Guard. Right? You have to equip our people. You can't blame the Coast Guards. You can't blame the GDF if the government do not provide the equipment and the right resources. They can't act. They can't act. We can't blame them. So we must provide the right equipment and resources and a full package for GDF soldiers, men and women.
Well, Mr. Mayor, well said. Thank you very much for that. And I'm not sure if Onyx got any question. Onyx?
No questions. I think the mayor outlined everything in regards to security and the government not being serious about the security issue that we have. We must be aware of everything that's happening in and around Guyana. So, yeah.
No, the,
All right,
the
Mr.
government
Mayor?
is weak, very weak when it comes to our border issues. Very, very weak. I must say this. And I believe the opposition should use this as well to call out the government. I've seen AFC made statement, right? I believe that the government need to act now. Seminars and conference need to. We have the resources, man. Get the trade union them involved. Get NGOs, civil society, religious body, political parties. You have to put your political ambition aside. Invite Aubrey Norton, Nigel Hughes, all of them. Let the political parties unite and be at this conference and seminar and speak with one voice. Let us send a message to Maduro. We must not sit idly. And unless you unite in this issue, we will have no way to go. Because you have to bring the people together. That is the common goal. They must understand what Venezuela is trying to do. Weeks, let me say this final thing before you go ahead. I spoke to many young people. They seem not to understand what is happening really. All they know that Venezuela trying to take over Essequibo. That is all. And I've been do nothing about it. Me talk me cruel easy. I've been do nothing about it. I will just sit down, I issue statement. I meet with the opposition, yes. But what happened for the normal people? Who got no idea. So when Venezuela come and attack, there's no proper foreign policy in terms of these immigrants that coming in Guyana. Every God day, they're here. They're coming in. We see recently a boat was at Essequibo. They were sent back. But beside of that one boat, tell me how much more now come illegal. And I can remember very clear years ago, they had wanted to set up, even in Region 1, send over Venezuelan and create a mini-state. If history is correct, you got these people them coming in here. I have nothing against the Venezuelans, but proper documentation, a proper policy need to put in place so that we can safeguard we own Guyanese brothers and sisters from immigrants. We have lots of work to do, and unless we prepare ourselves, we will all fail.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for those comments, and thank you so much for being on the program this morning. We have learned a lot. We have made a lot of headline news. Let's see what's going to happen in the press tomorrow, but I trust that you continue to be safe as well, that you continue to do what you're doing as an activist and as a Hindu priest, because I know you have a following in your temple, and a lot of persons depend on you for good advice and for advice pertaining to life and pertaining to health and pertaining to all of that. I wish you all the best as you continue to do your part for this beloved country we call Guyana. Thank you very much, sir, for being on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Rex.
And that's our show for this morning, everyone. We want to thank you for being on the program. Thank you, Mr. Onyx Duncan, my co-host, and all of the viewers who were part of our chat room, the comment section this morning. We thank all of you for being on the program. We're going to see you right back here again next Sunday for another edition of The Countdown. Have a pleasant and safe afternoon now.